everybody. I, Mayor Todd Alcott, City of Bowling Green, Kentucky, pursuant to the above, do hereby call a special meeting of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Bowling Green beginning at 4:30, Tuesday, February 2nd, 2020, in person and by video teleconference. I welcome everyone tonight. A little quote. This is from Amanda Gorman. I'll tell you about her in just a second. There is always light. If only we are brave enough to see it. If only we are brave enough to be it. Amanda Gorman is, you may have seen her recently. She is a poet. She is also an author. She was at the President's inauguration, and she was a poet laureate for Young International. So I think her words carry light and meaning tonight. Welcome everybody tonight, and we will turn it over to Dana. You have a special guest you'd like to introduce?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I am so privileged to introduce our special guest to give our invocation today. Since it is Black History Month and I am in education, I wanted to use this opportunity to give a little history lesson through Dr. Neblet's bio. So I'm just going to read a little bit to you about his life history, and we have so much to learn from him about the incredible work that's been done across our country. So Charles Neblet is a doctor of humane letters, which he received in 2019, came to Southern Illinois University in 1959 and quickly convinced President Morris to desegregate all student housing on campus. During his time at the university, Dr. Neblet was influential in building a bridge between the students, campus, and community of Carbondale. In 1961, Neblet joined the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee to organize Black voter registrations in Mississippi. He is a charter member of the Freedom Singers, which sang at protests, marches, picket lines, and sit-ins in over 40 states during the Civil Rights Movement. He was jailed for his organizing activities over 20 times. Neblet was among those to join Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. during the 1963 March on Washington and led participants in song after Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech. He also participated in the 1965 March from Selma to Montgomery and the 2001 Million Man March. During his career, Neblet would go on to perform with luminaries such as Pete Seeger, Bob Dylan, Miles Davis, Harry Belafonte, Joan Baez, Odetta, Mahalia Jackson, and Nina Simone. He was elected the first African-American magistrate in Logan County, Kentucky in 1989, but before that, he actually served as our second executive director of our Bowling Green Human Rights Commission, and so we're thankful for his service to Bowling Green. In 2010, his advocacy for equality earned him the Freedom Flame Award in Selma, Alabama, and a place in the Kentucky Civil Rights Hall of Fame. Currently, Neblet acts as founder and president of Community Projects Incorporated. He and his wife, who is with us this evening, they have been married for over 46 years, which is just incredible. Yes. And together, they have 6 children, 6 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. So, Dr. Neblet, we'd be so honored if you would start our meeting off with an invocation.
When I was young, I fought for freedom. When I was young, I fought the Klan. Who would have thought I'd still be fighting? 59 and 60 years down the line. Freedom, still fighting for freedom. 59 and 60 years down the line. Oh, Heavenly Father, God of all creation, God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, to you who has brought us thus far along the way. It is you we lift up our eyes today. We ask your divine blessings on this occasion and all its memorialization. On this day when there is too much hatred and greed Let us become instruments of thy peace and love. There's too much pride and arrogance that keep us at war. Let us become people of humility and service. There's too much bullying and words of violence in our homes, schools, streets, and political speech, and in foreign lands. Let's become those who have no need to bully or seek violence, but to faithfully trust you and your reconciling love. You have called us your sons and daughters to be living witnesses to the truth, love, and justice in the world. Give us the grace, the strength to be the instruments of your mercy, compassion in this world that is often filled with hatred, bigotry, and indifference. Lord, give us the courage to live by that we profess and believe, and to accept the teachings of Christ as a rule and guide rather than rare words of inspiration. Lord, we pray for this group. We pray that you give them wisdom and courage, and not just political advantage, Lord. Lead them and guide them, we pray. Who would have thought I'd still be fighting 59 and 60 years down the line? Freedom, still fighting for freedom. 59 and 60 years down the line.
Thank you so much, Dr. Neblett. And if you'll join us in standing to say the pledge together to our flag.
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Nevitt, Mrs. Nevitt, thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you for your inspiration. Thank you for your life legacy. It's an honor that you led us tonight. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. That was very cool. Mr. Meisel, do we have any awards of recognition at this time?
Mayor.
Mayor, if we'll do the roll call, please, as soon as Dana returns.
Chief Delaney, it's good to see some of our finest here tonight. Can you just tell us who's here? Welcome. Thank you all for being here tonight. As soon as Commissioner Brown comes back, Beasley Brown, we'll go ahead and do a roll call, and I'll gavel us in at that time.
That's the fun part, isn't it?
It is.
The gavel. Did you ever thought you'd get the gavel?
Not really.
I'm here. My camera's not working, but I'm here. So I'll try working on that for a moment.
All right. We're
We've
starting.
got to have her on camera.
Oh, we have to have her on camera?
I'm going to come in there.
Hold on. Mrs. Jackson, will you please do the roll call, please?
Commissioner Perigin.
Here.
Commissioner Bailey.
Here.
Commissioner Beasley Brown.
Here.
Commissioner Hill.
Here.
Mayor Alcott.
Here. All right. Oswald, do you have any comments at this time?
Yes, sir.
All right. We will have, next item of order is the approval of our minutes.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Perigin. Roll call, please, or any discussion about the previous minutes? No discussion? Roll call?
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Next item is municipal order number 2021-24.
Municipal order approving the probationary appointment of Catherine McKee to the position of Fire Community Risk Reduction and Education Coordinator in the Fire Department.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Perigin. Any,
Mayor, before I turn this over to Aaron Holsey, our HR Director, I'd like to just thank Marlee Boning for her years of service. She recently retired at the end of January from the Fire Department, creating this vacancy. And just want to thank Marlee for all her years of hard work, dedication, and service to our community at the Fire Department. Aaron, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. So as Jeff mentioned, we did get some advance notice from Marlee that she was ready to retire. She gave us about 3 months, which was very respectful, and we appreciated that. And so we actually, in a couple meetings in December, we went ahead and we moved the position, altering some of the responsibilities a little bit to the general schedule from Schedule F, and we changed, in addition to some of the responsibilities, the title. So the title of this position is long, the Community Risk Reduction and Education Coordinator for the Fire Department, so working in the Prevention Division. And we did recruit for this position internally and externally. We did a lot of focus on social media, trying to target certain audiences, maybe with a background in education. We received 25 applications, and we selected 7 of those to interview. Throughout the recruitment process, we did a couple of different things with them to just to get an idea of their ability to present, to educate, and so we had something that they did in prior to their interview, and then during their interview they did an additional presentation. And so we, the committee would like to recommend the appointment of Catherine McKee. I believe she's a Katie. And she has a bachelor's degree from WKU and a master's degree in WKU as well in special education. She has been working at WKU as a Veteran Affairs Coordinator. We thought overall, all of her presentation, her educational background, and her work experience are going to make her an excellent addition to the team. Do you have any questions?
questions at this time? Discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Municipal order number 2021-25.
Municipal order approving the termination of Russell Smith in the Public Works Department.
So moved. Second.
By Commissioner Perigin, second by Commissioner Hill. Any discussion? Anyone like to make any comments at this time? All right, no discussion. Roll call, please.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Next order is municipal order number 2021-26.
Municipal order authorizing the submission of an application for Homeland Security grant funds through the Federal Emergency Management Agency Assistance in the Firefighters Grant Program in an amount up to $99,591 for the purchase of equipment for the fire department.
So moved. Second.
All right, by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Perigin. This is open for discussion.
So the fire department would like to apply for another round of the Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program to purchase some equipment. I believe last year we used this money to buy some workout equipment that needed replacing at all the stations. This round of money, we are proposing, it's a 90-10 split, 10% match, but they are proposing to use this allotment for 122 personal escape systems. These are kits that basically the fire department officers, men and women, would carry in their turnout gear with them at all times, and it allows them to escape an upper level structure, also allows them to assist with lowering civilians or injured firefighters to safety. And right now, we only have 36 of these, what they call bailout kits, and they're about 8 years old and they need replacing. So with this grant, we could supply all firefighters with this system to carry with them into fires and cover them with that. The next piece they would propose to use this money for would be for a foam trailer. Right now, all of our fire trucks do carry some foam on them, but it's very little. I think they have 30 gallons maybe that I think it roughly, I did the math, it looks like it would cover about 600 square feet, which is not a very big area. But they're proposing to purchase this foam trailer, which carries about 500 gallons of foam, and would cover about a 10,000 square foot area and provide them a lot of capabilities of putting out oil spills, leaks, tractor trailer accidents on the interstate, anything like that that's flammable and dangerous, gas stations and so forth. So recommending this approval of this, going after this grant from the Firefighters Grant Program, and it's a 10% match that would be paid for out of the Fire Improvement Fund. Chief Colson is with us here tonight if y'all have any questions on this proposal.
Are there any questions at this time?
As well as Nick Cook, he's with us as well. He worked on the grant. Thank you, Nick.
I'd just like to say continuously, this is my third commission meeting, and I continuously hear the seeking of grants, and I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. It's always nice to get supplemental money to our government, and I just want to express that on behalf of our taxpayers. So well done, especially for this percentage level.
Doesn't hurt to ask, so
Absolutely.
that's what we do.
Nick's great at asking. He's the best.
All right, roll call, please.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Municipal order number 2021-27.
Municipal order approving agreement between the City of Bowling Green, Warren County, and Warren County Water District.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Perigin, second by Commissioner Hill. Open for discussion.
As you all know, we are in the process of issuing bonds for the Transpark expansion. And so this agreement before you tonight, thanks to Mr. John Dix of the Warren County Water District, would provide some assistance on debt service of those bonds from the Warren County Water District. They are going to get some infrastructure put in place with the bond proceeds that will help to supply water and sewer to this expanded district of the Transpark. And so I'd like to thank Mr. Dix for offering up this revenue pledge of 5.7% of all water metered revenue and 4% of all sewer metered revenue up in this area of the new Transpark that we are developing. Hillary Hightower, our city attorney, as well as Katie Shallow-Ward, our CFO, have been on the job working on this, as well as myself from time to time, and we think this is a very gracious offering from the Warren County Water District, and we want to put it in writing and lay out the responsibilities of all the parties. This is a three-party agreement between Warren County, the City of Bowling Green, and Warren County Water District. So we ask for your approval of this as we go forward with the bond issue at the Transpark.
I got one question, Jeff. These percentages, are they of the phase, whatever it is, I mean, the new phase, or Trans Park 2, we're calling it, only, or does it pertain to the entire Trans Park? This is not
It's just on the portion that's in your packet.
new section, right?
The new section, yes,
Okay.
in the dark green.
So the folks
It's
that,
out 68, it goes out 6880.
it's not the entire Trans Park.
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
It's
Pardon?
Exhibit 3, sorry.
thank
Thank you, Hillary.
I just wasn't clear whether it was the full
Exhibit
Trans
3,
Park.
the area outlined in red.
Okay, yeah, which is already being utilized, a couple projects in there
We
already.
need to get going. We have, of course, ball coming,
Yep.
and we need to get some infrastructure going in that area to get some things online.
Great. My pleasure to serve on that board alongside of you and just to hear the tremendous amount of facilities, manufacturing facilities that are interested. And it's a huge pipeline. It really is. And so the work that our economic development folks are doing is incredible.
There she
There
is.
she is.
Dana, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now. Thank you so much.
Perfect. All right, so discussion still open on 2021-27. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Can you guys hear me?
I can now.
And yes.
Yes.
Beasley Brown.
Absent.
We can hear you.
Oh, okay, yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Municipal order number 2021-28.
Municipal order approving a job development incentive program employee withholdings credit agreement with Material Handling Systems Incorporated.
So moved. Second.
Second.
Actually, I think Melinda needed to vote on that last one.
Hold for a second. Municipal order number 2021-27, there was a vote that was not received.
Just
Linda?
didn't say your name.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
All right, motion and second now for 28.
All right, so I understood, motion moved by Commissioner Perigin, second by Commissioner Bailey. So, that's what I heard in my last, so please read again.
Municipal order approving a job development incentive program employee withholdings credit agreement with Material Handling Systems Incorporated.
So moved.
Second.
All right,
Perigin and Bailey, I've got it.
thank you. All right, discussion,
So
please.
as you all probably saw in the news, I think it was last week, we had a big announcement for the Material Handling Systems, Inc. coming to Bowling Green. This is 200 new jobs with, I think, even more on the way after that. It's a $4.4 million capital investment. They will be locating up near General Motors off exit 28. This is a 10-year incentive through Kentucky Business Investment Act. It's a 1% city withholdings credit, and that 1% would give MHS a roughly $683,000 in tax credits over the next 10 years. The city's share would still be $581,000 over that 10-year period. And this was proposed to the Job Development Incentive Committee with Commissioner Hill and Commissioner Dana Beasley Brown. We were okay with this, and there was a consensus to bring this to you all. And so we are here tonight for your approval of the agreement with MHS.
Those are good paying jobs too,
They're
aren't they?
very good.
Yeah. I forget, but somewhere around $20 average, right?
I think they're
An
over
hour?
20, I think they're over 20.
18 to 27,000, wow. I mean, dollars an hour, sorry. Wow, great.
Phenomenal news. MHS, we welcome them to Bowling Green. Very excited for this
think that-
announcement.
Even another win is they're backfilling an existing vacant industrial building up near General Motors, so that's even better too.
Better. They're moving their plant from Ohio here. So that just says a lot about our community.
Further discussion or questions?
Jeff, let me ask you, how many jobs can this grow to? That's my first question, but my second question is, because I'm not familiar with the material handling systems, is there any jobs that are automated that possibly people could lose jobs, even though we're starting out at 200 jobs right now? They
I
can
think
move to
they-
automation.
From what I read, Commissioner Bailey, they have plans to expand in the next couple of years. They build conveyor belt type systems for shipping companies, and I think it was in their packet that they have plans to expand this facility even more in the coming years. So the state would be monitoring their number of employees in order for this incentive to kick in. And so they don't earn it until they have met the requirements of the state and met their threshold on employment. And they must do an annual report on that employment to maintain it in order to continue to get these incentives. So the state,
Okay, so
the state gives them a 3% withholdings credit on the state withholding, and we give them a 1% credit on the city withholding.
Okay, and that sounds great. I mean, that anything that there's gonna be an incentive, it's gonna be a tit for tat. Yeah, that's something I'm definitely for.
Dana, did you have a comment, question?
Just really grateful again for all the teamwork behind the scenes, so many folks working together to bring these great paying jobs, and so just really grateful for everyone.
All right, any further discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes,
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Ordinance number BG 2021-2, first reading, non-binding.
Ordinance rezoning real estate. Ordinance rezoning tracts of land containing 1.0909 acres from CB Central Business to PUD Planned Unit Development located at 1010 State Street, 511 East 10th Avenue, and a portion of 0 Chestnut Street, presently owned by 1010 Properties LLC.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Perigin. Open for discussion or questions? This was a 11-0 vote by the planning and commissioners, and all were in favor of this.
Mr. Peterson is online with us too, if
Ah.
you all need him for the next 4 items.
Commissioners like to hear further on this one, or? All right, I'm going to move for roll call.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
yes,
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Ordinance number BG 2021-3, first reading, non-binding.
Ordinance rezoning real estate. Ordinance rezoning a tract of land containing 15.36 acres from GB General Business and RM4 Multifamily Residential to HB Highway Business located at 1300 Campbell Lane, presently owned by MPT of Bowling Green, Vibra LLC.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Perigin. I also see that this was 11-0 unanimously approved recommendation to rezone this tract of land. This is located on 1300 Campbell Lane, which if you look in your packets is central to very Campbell Lane. Close to where you live, Sue.
An expansion of the Sky Rehab facility.
All right, is there any discussion or questions from our commissioners?
Great, great
Hey,
news.
Vic.
Sky Rehab is one of our jewels in this community. I personally, I know most people in here have had family members that have been helped by them, and it's just amazing what they can do, and to be able to expand that service is just a wonderful blessing for our community.
Commissioner Bailey, you had comment?
yeah, Ben, is there any barriers? I've read something where I guess there may have been like a barrier that may be in place that's gonna protect it, since it's moving from general business and multifamily to highway. Are there gonna be any barriers to kind of offset that? Because where the map is, it looks like that there's I guess, a community that's directly behind it.
So if you look at the site development plan and the site layouts that's provided in your packet, you'll see that it's still quite the distance away from any of the residential areas. It's comparatively speaking to the existing facility, it's a relatively small addition off the back of it.
Any other comments?
Do you know if there's going to be like any possibility of any future expansion of that area?
Yes, there will be, but they will have to comply with the incompatible use buffers. If it gets too close to any residential district, they'll be required to maintain a 40-foot structure setback. They won't be able to go any closer than that, and there'll be an additional 10-foot landscaping buffer that would have to be maintained throughout the life of the project.
And I'm assuming like some of the neighbors on McIntosh and O'Brien Court, they were given some type of notice of what was going to happen?
Correct. We followed our normal notification procedures. So we mailed letters to all residents within 200 feet of the boundary, the rezoning boundary. And then also adjacent property owners are also notified. Of course, we put signs in the yard and also notifying the newspaper as well.
And my last question, Ben, was there any complaints, I guess, about this expansion?
None that I can recall at this time. I don't
Thank
believe
you.
so. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Peterson. Any other comments? All right, roll call, please.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Ordinance number BG 2021-4, first reading, non-binding.
Ordinance rezoning real estate. Ordinance rezoning a tract of land containing 6.604 acres from RS1A Single Family Residential and F floodplain to GB General Business, PUD Planned Unit Development, and F floodplain located at 0 Morgantown Road, presently owned by Lost River Holdings LLC.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Perigin. Is there any discussions? This was, I think, a 10-0 unanimous vote, or was it 11? It was a 10. One did abstain during the rezoning. So it was a 10-0 unanimous.
Mr. Mayor Alcott, I have a question for Mr. Peterson.
Floor is yours, Dana.
Thank you so much. Mr. Peterson, I was just curious if you would talk us through when a traffic study is required and the situation in terms of how what occurred in the situation of adding lanes. And then as a follow-up question, I'm just curious about this neighborhood that is down, or the other residents on Sternberger Lane, if it becomes clear that a traffic light is needed, then did we miss an opportunity here to get that built by the developer?
So I think the Sternberger one's the next one, if I'm following the agenda correctly. It's kind of hard to hear on my end.
I'm so sorry, I
But
flipped.
that's okay. I'll go ahead and answer that because it applies to all of these. So what we do whenever we get to the point of getting the input from our sister agencies on traffic, if it's in the city, we obviously go to Bowling Green Public Works and ask your staff what they're going to require. Likewise, if it's Kentucky Transportation Cabinet involved, which it would be on this particular application, we ask them the same. And so what we do is ask them if they will require a traffic impact study. And if not, are there any improvements that could be made in lieu of that traffic impact study? And the simple reason for that is traffic impact studies cost anywhere from $8,000 to $15,000. So if a developer's going to have to spend that money on a turn lane, for example, or a deceleration lane, we would rather all see that money go into making those improvements rather than a study that's just going to tell us something that we may already know needs to be done. There are a few projects out there where they're big enough or impactful enough that they do go ahead and require a full traffic impact study if they can't determine what improvements may be required.
Thank you so much, Mr. Peterson. So what I hear you say is that if it's clear sort of what improvements can be made that will adequately help traffic flow and being able to get out of particular development, that they, for the most part, can tell that without having to spend all that money on the front end if it's not too big of a project impact.
That is correct. And one of the biggest considerations in all of that is you can only require something of someone that affects their site. So for example, if we had a new project on Scottsville Road, we can't go make them fix all the problems on Scottsville Road just for their one development. So it has to be something that will at least not make the traffic worse than it already is.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion from our commissioners? All right, no further discussion this time. Roll call, please.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Ordinance number BG 2021-5, first reading, non-binding.
Ordinance rezoning real estate. Ordinance rezoning a tract of land containing 14.2912 acres from AG agriculture to PUD planned unit development in RM4 multifamily residential located at 1510 Kentucky Highway 185, presently owned by MNM LLC.
So moved.
All right, moved by Commissioner Perigin, second by Commissioner Hill. I see this one had a 10-0 unanimous vote as these went in subsequent, in order. I saw that one of the commissioners left the meeting and they did not abstain from this vote. This is open for discussion or questions.
It's exciting to see all this development going on in Bowling Green, I can tell you that. That's really exciting.
Absolutely.
I have one additional question for this development as well.
Yes, Commissioner Beasley Brown, floor is yours.
So in page 9 of 43 in the packet, it looks like there is trees along the border, and I just didn't remember that in the, what do we call it? Not the binding elements, what do we call it now?
Development plan conditions.
Development plan conditions. So are they planning to keep that buffer that kind of buffers them from the existing neighbors and the golf course, or do you know if they address that?
Yes, ma'am. So in number 8, their development plan condition number 8, that's in the Planning Commission packet, page 5 of 43. It says the developer shall maintain all mature, healthy trees not existing within building envelopes, areas of utilities placements, or areas of vehicular traffic or parking. So that should suffice in taking care of preserving those trees along that property line. The only case is if they had to bring utilities through that border, if you will, then they may have to remove some trees. The utility companies often do that to put their lines through. That in general, they try to design the site to where they save those trees, and that is something we check at the next level when they design the project site.
Okay, and then how, in the map of the new development, I guess how close is the nearest structure to one of the existing neighborhood homes there?
So it's kind of hard to tell on this drawing, but it appears to be at least 10 feet, if not further. If you're looking at, it's hard to see that page number, 14 of 43, I believe it looks like, that they will be a sufficient distance away not to disturb that tree line.
So up on Durenberger, that first house on the right, after the entrance to the new development, the apartment buildings, how far are they from that home on Durenberger? Do you know, or is that possible to tell from this map?
Looking to see if we have that from the existing home. From their property line, it looks to be that 10 feet from their actual structure to structure. It looks to be quite a bit further. I would have to scale that off to figure that out, but it's looks to be quite a bit of distance. The structure itself, that would be the rear property line of that structure. So that would be quite a distance there.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Peterson.
Mm-hmm. At least 100 feet.
Sorry, I forgot that I need to follow up with the traffic one. So we don't think that this particular development is going to need a traffic light?
So what we did here is in the traffic impact studies section, if you look at the Bowling Green Public Works requirements and then KYTC, neither one of them requested a traffic light. So at this time, they did not feel that would be warranted for the amount of traffic that's generated.
And can you just remind me what improvements they did require?
Sure. So they have to widen Durenberger Lane to 3 lanes at the intersection with 185, Kentucky 185. They have to provide at least 50 feet of left turn lane stacking. The property's access to Durenberger Lane has to be designed at appropriate angles. It's 90-degree angles, so they don't want any angled intersections. So it comes in at a direct 90-degree angle. Then Durenberger, let's see, it'll have to be widened to at least 24 feet, which is the subdivision, 24 or 30 feet, depending on how they design the subdivision. And then they have to basically check the current construction Durenberger Lane and bring it up to current city standards for construction. Make sure it has enough structural strength and is actually built as a city road to begin with. And then for the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, they have to remove an existing entrance that's on 185 and then install a right turn lane on 185 going into Durenberger Lane. So a decel lane to get people out of traffic on 185 before they then turn onto Durenberger Lane. So that was the required improvements, and they did commit to all of those.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Peterson. Mr. Mayor, that was all my questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Beasley Brown. Any other questions at this time? I will comment, just a plug for the Hobson Grove community and our golf course. This property with 52 new single house dwellings. It's very nice to see in the northwest side of town, the development. And this is a big deal for our community as at large. And I'm very excited to see this adjacent to our park. And so I'm excited to see that growth and potential that can continue to grow. Any other questions or comments? All right, roll call, please.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Ordinance number BG 2021-6, first reading, non-binding.
Ordinance amending Code of Ordinances. Ordinance amending Chapter 25 Code of Ethics of the City of Bowling Green Code of Ordinances to amend subchapters related to Board of Ethics and penalties.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Perigin. Commissioner Perigin, I believe you have some comments you'd like to make?
Sure, yes. Yeah, I'm a sponsor in this particular ordinance, and so I want to say, as I indicated back in October of 2020, when we heard this ordinance previously, I said I would like to revisit the proposed changes to the ethics code that were submitted by our ethics committee. There was a reason for that, because I had a lot of input from citizens that really felt like elected officials, and of course this is going to include our senior staff, need to be held accountable. So I listened, I heard, and here we are. We indeed passed some changes and updates in October of 2020. However, the part of holding elected officials and senior staff accountable was debated. So I want to reiterate my respect and support for the Ethics Committee and their many, many, many months of work on updating the city's code of ethics. They spent a long time doing this, and a lot of hours, and a lot of work, and were very conscientious in doing so. The changes proposed are designed to hold us accountable to the taxpayers at a high standard. The Ethics Board felt that the ethics code was needing some important updates, and I agree. I believe these changes will promote public confidence in us as elected officials, as well as promote trust and accountability. In short, this piece of this ordinance says that we're willing to hold ourselves accountable for our actions, and if such actions result in taxpayers' money being spent. The Board of Ethics still has the discretion, the complete discretion, to hold us accountable for all, some, or none of the costs incurred as a result of our actions. It still is a misdemeanor to submit false ethics claims to the Ethics Committee also. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Commissioner
Mr.
Perigin.
Mayor, I have a comment. I have something to say.
Absolutely, floor is yours, Commissioner Bailey.
Respectfully, we do need to be held accountable. However, under the Eighth Amendment, the problem is when the Bill of Rights was ratified and it was imposing limits, it was basically off the federal government. However, the Supreme Court has gradually ruled that most of those provisions are starting to apply to the states. Now, what happened also is that Justice Clarence Thompson said basically the right to be free of excessive fines is basically a privilege of every American citizen. The problem that you have here is that harsh economic sanctions and punishment should never be grossly disproportionate to the seriousness of any offense. If we were in a court of law, when public defenders are provided by taxpayers, they still cannot have excessive fines or fees as punishment, criminal and civil, towards anyone during that time. Now, what do I do agree with is basically that possibly we could agree to there's reasonable attorney fees towards the egregiousness of the violation. Let's leave the Board of Ethics on case-by-case basis for what those attorney fees should be. But we can't have it open-ended. I think at that point, you make these sanctions so harsh that it will be overruled. If this went to court and it went all the way up to the Supreme Court, we would lose. So right now, I would have to vote no on it.
Thank you, Commissioner Bailey. Other comments this time?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to ask a question of Commissioner Bailey.
Floor is yours, Commissioner Beasley Brown.
Commissioner Bailey, are you offering up any language that would satisfy your question about making it more legally, more legal standing?
Well, there's going to be a lot of legal experts are going to disagree and agree that we shouldn't basically be going down this route because it could be excessive and it could be harsh sanctions that it wouldn't even be, it would be overruled in a court of law. With that said, we can offer some type of reasonable attorney fees that is egregious towards whatever violation that occurred. And we leave that up to the board. So the reasonable attorney fees egregious to the violation.
No, I'd like to comment to your statement. Again, egregious fees, in my opinion, is not what this ordinance is stating. What this ordinance is stating, I think, is what previously and exists now. And that is the ability to make the decision by this board. All right, we will stand by. We have a commissioner not able to see or hear. How much was he gone? Okay. No, I'm kidding.
We're gonna have to get this fixed. It's not fair to our citizens or us.
Is it because of the thickness of the walls and the,
Well, I think, one, the mayor's office of that office, it's got a hardwired in. It wouldn't hurt to put a commissioner in there, you know, to sustain that until we can.
Hey, I'm back, guys.
Hey, Carlos, I was responding to a comment you made, and appreciate your comments. My opinion, and I want you to hear the whole thing, I hear what you're saying on the egregious. However, in my opinion, this body of the 4 commissioners, the mayor, the board of commissioners, has the authority, and has always had the authority to make the determination if a violation of ethics has happened. And so I see this all summer none. I don't see that as egregious. I see that as the ability to pick or choose what is needed by this body to be able to hold a person accountable. I think more or less this is just our commitment to state that we will hold a person accountable and that we want our city to have representatives that will hold themselves above the line and be accountable when our community thinks that they have been in violation. So I agree with you that there should not be a penalty of excess of what a person can't afford, but I don't think that's what we're establishing in this ordinance. What we're establishing is the ability to state to our community as a whole, as a commission, that we will hold each other accountable and make the right decision based off the merit of that case.
And Mayor, just briefly, I respectfully disagree with some of the stuff that you're saying. I'm telling you, in a court of law, if we were in a court of law, it will be overturned. It's not saying, have not said that no one who is an elected official should not be held accountable. I think that we agree right there. The problem that you have, in the American rule, under the 8th Amendment, you can basically have sanctions that are too cruel that basically would be overruled. The punishment is so high that it's basically going to be overruled because it'll be seen as an excessive type of thing. Should we have some type of reasonable attorney fees that should be paid? I agree with that. But as far as like what you're stating that it's not going to be holding someone accountable if we don't move that way, I respectfully disagree. I think that you can have a reasonable attorney fees and hold someone accountable by using that language. And if it's challenged in court, you could possibly even try to see if you can win that case. If this gets challenged in court, you have a chance that this could be overruled and unconstitutional. That's the problem.
Carlos, I'd like to comment on that. All things, all new ordinances and all things can and probably will be challenged in court, i.e. raising minimum wage in Louisville. That's a common thing. That's how we make law in this country, is by people proposing new ideas, and then others, sometimes they challenge it and it sticks, and sometimes they challenge it and it doesn't. We won't be the only community in the United States that has this type of language in our ordinance. The ability for the ethics committee to, and it's not a fine, it's a reimbursement of costs, all, some, or none. The ethics committee, who are ethical people, if we do our jobs right, are not going to impose unreasonable, egregious types of penalties on people. That's not going to be their role, and I don't believe for a minute that if we're doing our jobs and we are appointing ethical people, that would never occur. And if it is unreasonable, then I would expect the community to come out, not wait for it to get to a court of law. If it's unreasonable, we need the community to let us know we got it wrong. And that's who we represent. And I'm representing the community that was in full favor of this particular change to the Code of Ethics, along with the Ethics Committee, who did,
I'll just keep this one for you.
who did the work and the research to come up with this language. They didn't do this just in an hour-long meeting. This was looked at over about a year or more period of time. So, whether it gets challenged in a court of law, that's the process. I hope it would. I hope it would.
And respectfully, Ms. Perigin, Commissioner Perigin, I apologize. But respectfully, when you get a judgment in court and it's given by a jury of your peers, there has been a time when a judgment that has been given by a jury of the peers, here it could be the ethics committee, it has basically been overturned by a judge. Right now, I feel like that is an excessive type thing. If we're going to basically have some type of language that we can make sure that we can move forward, we need to put that language, just to be the last thing I say, but we need to put in there that it needs to be reasonable attorney fees that is basically, I guess, towards the egregiousness of the violation. That's what I suggest, and that's what I propose. You guys don't have to move forward with, and if you don't, I have to vote no.
Further discussion?
Mayor, may I,
Absolutely,
May I comment?
Commissioner Beasley Brown.
thank you so much. First, is Ms. Hightower there? Would she be able to read, or Ms. Jackson be able to read the proposed language?
Approaching.
Proposed language reads, issue a written order requiring the violator to pay a civil penalty of not more than $1,000 and, at the sole discretion of the Board of Ethics, requiring the violator to pay a portion or all of the legal costs incurred by the Board of Ethics and/or the city and/or city agency in relation to the violation, which civil penalty and legal costs may be recovered by the city in a civil action in the nature of debt if the offender fails to pay the penalty within a prescribed period of time. So I think that Commissioner Bailey's concern about in relation to the violation, that language is in there. If he's just suggesting that we add a portion or all of the reasonable legal costs incurred by the Board of Ethics, I don't know how Commissioner Perigin feels.
I would be fine with that.
Okay.
I'm sure it's going to be reasonable, so we might as well put it in there. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. If we add the word reasonable in there, and if, Ms. Hightower, if you wouldn't mind adding that in the appropriate place and then reading it again, that would satisfy my concerns as well.
So it would read like this: issue a written order requiring the violator to pay a civil penalty of not more than $1,000 and, at the sole discretion of the Board of Ethics, requiring the violator to pay a portion or all of the reasonable legal costs incurred by the Board of Ethics and/or the city and/or city agency in relation to the violations.
Carlos, are you,
Good with that?
does that
I'm fine with
suffice?
that. That works for me.
We would need a motion to amend and a second.
I'll make a motion
I,
to, go ahead.
and I second it.
Okay, there's been a motion to amend the amendment that is on the floor, or the ordinance on the floor, by Sue Perigin, a second by Carlos Bailey. We will vote on the written amendment. Does anyone need it written, or, excuse me, read again, as it was just read a minute ago by Mrs. Hightower? Okay, we'll vote on this. Roll call.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. We still have a motion on the floor to adopt this amendment. Is there any further discussion at this time? Roll call, please.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. At this time, we've concluded our agenda items. There is normally a time for public comments. I make this to the community because in future, we are asking the public to contact. We have a number 270-393-3632, or you can email the city clerk at bgky.org. Our next meeting is Monday. Our next meeting is February the 16th, 2021 at 4:30 here at the courthouse. It'll be our fourth meeting of the year. Without that, we did not have any public comments requested for this meeting. This adjourns our meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.